بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. The 25th juz consists of 3 surahs. Surah Fussilat or Hamim Sajda, part of it, but that was just literally one side. Thereafter, the main surahs are Surah Shura, followed by Surah Dukhan, and Surah Jathiyah. There's one more in between. Surah Zukhruf. So 4 surahs. Surah Dukhan as well, Surah Zukhruf, Surah Jathiyah, and Surah Shura. These 4 surahs, they all discuss the same. These are all Hamim surahs. They call Al-Hamim or the Hawamim, because they all start with Hamim, each and every one of these surahs. And the certain ulama state that if you look at these huruf which come at the beginning of the surahs, these huruf are known as huruf al-muqatta'at. Huruf al-muqatta'at. Alif lam mim, alif lam ra, alif lam mim ra, kaf ha ya ain sad, noon, yasin, taha, etc. There's quite a few of them. They're all known as huruf al-muqatta'at. And huruf al-muqatta'at means literally the broken letters. Broken letters. Broken letters, why? Because normally when a alif, a lam and a mim is written, then you'll read it as alam. Like in the beginning of Surah Al-Fil, the alif is there, the lam is there, and the mim is there. So you'll read it as alam. But when this letter comes at the beginning of these certain surahs, then you don't join these letters. You don't join these letters. You have a ya and then you have a sin. So you'll say yes, and then you'll have something else after. For example, yas'alunak or yastaftunak or something like this. So whenever ya is there followed by a sin, then you generally join these letters up and make a word out of it. But whenever these letters come at the beginning of a surah, then they are not joint letters. Rather, these letters are broken and recited separately. You don't say yes or you don't say alam. You have to recite the alif, then the lam, then the mim, or the ya, and then the sin, or the ta, and then a ha. So the letters are recited individually. Because they're recited individually and they're all broken up, that is why they are called huruful muqatta'at, meaning the broken letters. The broken letters, because you don't recite them together, you recite each and every letter separately. Now these huruful muqatta'at, they come at the beginning of different surahs, and the meaning of these particular huruf, the majority of the ulama, certain ulama have mentioned certain particular meanings behind them, but the majority of the ulama state that these huruf and these letters at the beginning of these surahs, they are not known by us. And the meaning of this is known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ilm of this is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why when you look in the tafasir, generally when you come across these, then in the tafsir, after this they'll just write Allahu a'lamu bi muradihi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is the meaning of this. And then they'll carry on the tafsir of the specific ayat. But whenever these ayat will come, then they'll just say, Allahu a'lamu bimuradihi. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what these ayats mean. And we are not aware. So this is why were they revealed? They were revealed because they're part of the Quran as a challenge. The ulama state that one of the hikmahs behind this, along with many others, is that it was a challenge to the mushrikeen and those that would deny the Quran, that look at these words. These words are from your language. You claim to be those that are experts in the language of Arabic. So tell me what this ayat means. Even you don't know what this ayat means. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is challenging the mushrikeen, the disbelievers, that look, this is our Quran, and this Quran is mu'jiz. This Quran is such that it is unparalleled. Nobody can bring anything which is similar to the Quran. It is made up of the Arabic language, but even certain words within this Quran you cannot even know and you cannot even understand. But one thing which the ulama do state is that these ayat, these beginning words, whenever they come, for example, Hamim comes in front of a number of surahs. Alif Lam Mim comes in front of a number of surahs. So whenever you look at these surahs individually, that these are the surahs which begin with Hamim. Now what does Hamim mean? We don't know. But one thing which we do understand is that the madameen and the themes which are discussed within these surahs are very, very similar. So maybe it's an indication towards that somehow. For example, Alif Lam Mim. Whenever you find the Alif Lam Mim, then the surahs which begin with Alif Lam Mim, the themes of those surahs are very, very similar. Alif Lam Ra. The surahs which begin with Alif Lam Ra, the theme of those surahs are very, very similar. So these Hamim surahs which we recited today, the themes are quite similar to one another, in which it discusses the nubuwah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and mentions regarding the certain other aspects as well. One main surah which we recited today was Surah Dukhan. This surah is one surah which we should try to recite every Friday. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would encourage the ummah to recite this particular surah every Friday night. So the night of Friday now, this time, anytime after the Maghrib Salat, before the Fajr Salat, is known as the night. So on this night of Friday, Surah Dukhan should be recited. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that whoever recites this particular surah, then his sins shall be forgiven. So one should try to recite this surah on the night of Friday. This surah is called Surah Dukhan because it mentions regarding Dukhan, and Dukhan means smoke. Now what does this smoke mean? The ulama are of two opinions. One opinion is that the smoke refers to a sign which will come prior to the day of Qiyamah, that a smoke will arise and the smoke will engulf the people, and before the day of Qiyamah, a little while before, and this will be one of the signs of Qiyamah, and people will suffer from that. It will last for approximately 3 days, and people will be overcome by flu and illness during that period in time. So this is what it is referring to. But another group of ulama, Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, was of this opinion as well, that this was a specific punishment given to the people of Quraysh. And that was that they denied Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And not only that, but they rather did exert every effort to harm Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba Kiram radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. So much so that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ended up making a bad dua for them and cursed them, that Allahumma alayhim bisab'i sinin kasini Yusuf, that oh Allah, the famine which you brought upon the people of Egypt at the time of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam bring a famine upon the people of Makkah as well. And they then started suffering. And because of this suffering, they started to feel hungry, the children started to cry, they suffered greatly, and so much so that they became very, very weak. And when a person becomes very, very weak, then now he starts seeing very, very hazy. He doesn't see clear because there's no energy within him and he can't function properly. So what would happen is the people of Makkah, they started seeing haziness and they started seeing blurriness because of the weakness that overtook them because of this famine. So that is what Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu states, that is the actual dukhan which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about. يَوْمَ تَأْتِ السَّمَاءُ بِدُخَانٍ مُبِينٍ يَخْشَى النَّاسِ. That is when they would look up and they would just see nothing but blurry, and everything was like smoky and nothing was clear. And this was a punishment which overtook the people. Why? Because they didn't believe the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَنَّا لَهُمُ الذِّكْرَى وَقَدْ جَاءَهُمْ رَسُولٌ مُبِينٌ ثُمَّ تَوَلَّوْا عَنْهُ وَقَالُوا مُعَلَّمٌ مَجْنُونٌ. That they said that, Allah says that, look, a prophet came to them with this message, but they turned away, they rejected this message, and they say that no, he's getting these messages from somebody, he's learning it from somebody, maybe he's got some connection with some jinnat or something like that, or maybe he's got some other connection with certain individuals and he's learning from them, he's insane, he's not Allah says we sent this punishment down. But then they made dua that, oh Allah, remove this punishment from us. رَبَّنَا اكْشِفْ عَنَّا الْعَذَابِ. So remove this punishment. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that إِنَّا كَاشِفُ الْعَذَابِ قَلِيلًا. We'll remove this punishment for a short while, but the reality is that you'll go back to your own ways. إِنَّكُمْ عَائِدُونَ. You will turn back. You will turn back to your own ways. Although you are asking for forgiveness right now, you will turn into your own ways. And that is what happened. The punishment was lifted, and once again they returned back to their kufr, shirk, and they started trying to hurt and harm the Muslims. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that this is what overcame them, but the reality is that the true punishment will come to them on the day of Qiyamah. And when that punishment comes, then there will be no saving them. There will be no saving them, because this is what happened. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discusses the incident of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam with Fir'aun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says they did the same thing. They also rejected the Nabi. They also got different types of punishment come over them. And then they said, oh, remove this punishment. So Allah said, okay, we'll remove this punishment. And then they went back again. Allah sent another punishment. Then it happened again. It happened a number of times. And then after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the punishment now is going to come over you, and now you will be destroyed in this world, and you will have the eternal punishment of the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that فَمَا بَكَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّمَاءُ وَالْأَرْضُ وَمَا كَانُوا مُنذَرِينَ. That when this punishment came, then nobody cried over them. The heavens didn't cry over them, and neither did the earth cry over them. Nobody cried over them. When a believer dies, then because of the a'mal of this believer, the creation gain blessings, the creation gain barakah. And when a person commits a sin, when a person does ma'siyat, then not only is he harming himself, but in reality he is harming the entire creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so much so that the birds, they cannot even find food because of this individual carrying out sin, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala withholds His rahmah and His mercy from the world. So when an individual who is pious passes away, then the creation of Allah, they feel for this person that door of barakah, that door of khair, of His goodness has gone, and now what shall we do? Whereas when a person who is sinful and disobedient, when he passes away, then the creation of Allah do not cry, and the creation of Allah rather experience joy that it is good that this person has gone, because this person was a means of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being held away from us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَمَا بَكَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ السَّمَاءُ. That the heavens didn't cry for these individuals, and neither did the earth cry for these individuals. Why? Because they were disobedient servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to live our lives such that we become close to Allah, and because of our a'mal, khair and goodness spreads throughout the world. When a person fulfills the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then khair and goodness comes into existence. The Sahaba Kiram radiallahu anhum experienced this khair and experienced this goodness because that ma'hul and that environment was such that everybody was obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is important that we try to bring goodness into our lives. If we do on an individual level, then we will definitely see the khair and the barakah in our individual lives. And if it is done on a collective level, then this khair and this barakah shall be seen on a collective level. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to practice upon the ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to connect ourselves with the Quran, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be a means of goodness and khair and barakah, not only for ourselves but for the entire humanity. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala khayri khalq Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.